The journey from Washington to Tehran is more than a flight, it's a passage through decades of mistrust and conflict. As of February 2026, the world is on edge, with invisible lines of tension stretching from the Persian Gulf to the South China Sea. This isn't just a regional dispute, it's a story of shifting global power, where the US and China are redrawing the map. The stakes, nuclear ambitions, economic survival, and the threat of a war that could engulf the world. The US and Iran, locked in cycles of threats, are back at the table. This time, with China stepping in as Iran's strategic backer. China's bold support for Iran is challenging America's dominance in the Middle East, signaling a new era of global rivalry. A conflict here would send shockwaves through the global economy and force nations to pick sides. The emerging China-Russia-Iran alliance is a direct challenge to the old order. To understand this new world, we must ask, why is China backing Iran now? Today's crisis began in 2018, when President Trump withdrew the US from the Iran nuclear deal, shattering years of diplomacy. Sanctions returned, crippling Iran's economy and radicalizing its politics. Iran, feeling betrayed, began breaching the deal's limits, and tensions escalated. The breaking point, a brief but intense war in 2025, triggered by Israeli strikes and US attacks on Iranian nuclear sites. In the aftermath, Iran turned to China, not just for trade, but for military and intelligence support. The US policy of maximum pressure backfired, pushing Iran into China's embrace. For ordinary Iranians, sanctions mean inflation, shortages, and brutal crackdowns, often enabled by Chinese technology. Inflation, shortages, brutal crackdowns, often enabled by Chinese technology. In January 2026, thousands died in protests silenced by a digital blackout. As filmmaker Jafar Panahi said, "Whatever happens in these talks, it will not be to the benefit of the people of Iran." This turmoil is the backdrop to today's high-stakes diplomacy. In Muscat, Oman, US and Iranian officials meet for indirect talks, shadowed by the threat of war. The US delegation includes military leaders, underscoring the stakes. Iran flexes its military muscle, broadcasting missile tests and vowing not to give up its power. Hardliners in Tehran dismiss diplomacy, threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz. China, once in the background, is now a key player, condemning US threats and preparing joint military drills with Iran and Russia. Chinese cargo planes deliver supplies to Iran, bolstering its defenses. The Muscat talks are fragile, with global powers watching closely. With China's backing, Iran negotiates from a position of new strength, but will it lead to peace or more conflict? China's support for Iran is strategic and multi-layered. As Iran's main oil buyer, China keeps Tehran's economy afloat, defying US sanctions. Their 25-year partnership promises massive Chinese investment in exchange for discounted oil. After the 2025 war, China helped rebuild Iran's missile and air defenses, and now shares intelligence and military technology. China also provides digital tools, enabling Iran's government to control information and suppress dissent. At the UN and in global forums, China shields Iran from Western pressure. For China, this alliance distracts the US from Asia. For Iran, it's a diplomatic shield. But for ordinary Iranians, Chinese support means more surveillance and little economic relief. The China-Iran alliance is reshaping the global order. By backing Iran, China challenges decades of US dominance in the Middle East and secures its own energy needs. Yet, China's support is pragmatic. Its trade with Iran is small compared to its Gulf Arab partners. In a major conflict, China would likely limit itself to diplomatic support. For US allies like Israel and the Gulf states, China's role is a source of anxiety, forcing them to rethink their alliances. Europe's efforts to preserve the nuclear deal are complicated by the US-China rivalry. The world is fragmenting into competing blocs, with the Persian Gulf as a flashpoint. The era of uncontested American leadership is ending. The future will be shaped by choices made in Washington, Tehran, and Beijing. The world map is being redrawn before our eyes.